Dial in that telescope. It's time for Science! Sci Friday on SkyWatchTV. Welcome. I'm Derek Gilbert, and with me in studio, my best friend and my wife, Sharon K. Gilbert.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm doing fine, sweetheart. Science!
I know. It's the chemicals hit my head, and look what happened. This thing came from the sky, and just suddenly I have light hair again. Actually, don't adjust your TV set. My hair is still dark. No, it's really light. I asked, to be fair, I asked Derek, my hair is probably in the course of the like 17 years we've been married, it's probably been 17 different colors. And that could vary in the course of a day, actually. So I asked you what your favorite color was, and you said you liked it lighter. So,
well,
ladies, I don't really care one way or the other, so I'm happy to make my husband happy.
Your natural color.
Well, no, my natural color is black.
Well, yes.
When I was born. But now the way it comes out of my scalp is white.
Yeah, it's in disguise.
It's in disguise. Yeah. So actually I had to bleach it out and then bleach it out again. And so it's a two-step process. So I was doing the two-step.
Well, I'm sure that, well, sweetheart, you're always the prettiest woman in any room that we're in, so.
I love you. Now everybody's throwing up.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, sorry. Interesting
Speaking of
things.
throwing up,
yeah.
I want to talk about the hot dog story. Just want to get that right out there.
That was
because
disturbing.
I've got emails about this. There was a report done by a company called Clear Labs, and Clear Labs claims that they can take any product, organic product, and tell you what DNA is in it, whether there's fungi in it or viruses in it or anything. And they took a look at vegetarian and non-vegetarian, pork and beef hot dogs. And some of the things they found were a little disturbing in that there was pork in what was supposed to be an all-beef product, which if you're eating a kosher product is a big problem.
Right.
But veggie ones also contained sometimes meat. But in all of the hot dogs, there was as much as 3% human DNA. So I've gotten all these emails and people panicking on Facebook. Oh my gosh, Hannibal Lecter's in town, and they're actually grinding up people. No, you and I and everybody, we shed hair and skin and saliva and all sorts of pieces of ourselves, no matter where we are. And even if you have on gloves and a hairnet, you still might be shedding little pieces of your DNA into that product line, so it's not a big surprise.
No. The chain of evidence from the cow to your barbecue grill is not exactly secure.
No, it is not.
So could not use that in a court of law as evidence, which is a good thing to know, because there were people who were genuinely concerned.
And I understand that. I really do, because of the way the sensational headlines were written. There's human DNA in your hot dog. Yeah. Well, that's what the report said, but please don't be so, over the top.
Exactly.
But then these are, it's sometimes clickbait.
Exactly.
It really is. They want you to go to their news site, and I can understand that.
Sure. One of the more sensational headlines of the past week, too, is that there's a UFO that is going to collide with the Earth in, when is it going to hit? It's November 13th.
November 13th, yes.
WT 1190F is the name of this thing. And
they think it may be space debris, something off of one of the rockets that was launched decades ago, possibly, that's been going around, lost enough steam that it's now going to hit the Earth, presumably in the Indian Ocean. I hope they're right about that, and I hope it doesn't hit anywhere. It's relatively small, about 2 meters, they think, but it was named in a way that gives it the nickname now, WTF.
Yeah. But again, nothing to really be overly concerned about. Relatively small. They believe it's a hollow tube, which is why they think it was maybe in one of the early, the remains of one of the booster rockets from the early space mission. So nothing too concerning about that. One of the stories I thought was interesting this week is that apparently there's a comet out there that's having cocktails. Comet
outgassing alcohol and
yes,
sugar.
Exactly. Comet Lovejoy, which is the brightest comet since the Hale-Bopp comet, is outgassing alcohol and a type of sugar into space. First time that this has ever been observed by astrophysicists.
Well, the big conclusion drawn from this by astrophysicists is that this is proof that organic molecules are on these comets. And the reason we see a lot of these stories now is that there is a story that we're supposed to believe Christian or not, that our Earth was seeded and possibly by
Right.
comets.
Right.
So life came from elsewhere, but it wasn't God.
Exactly.
Is what that we're supposed to buy.
That's a common meme. We talk about that on this show a lot. But this is
Yeah.
but this was interesting because it obviously sets up a lot of
And you gotta
great
love
jokes.
It. Comet Lovejoy
Yes.
is having drinks.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of things in outer space, tomorrow, which is Halloween,
Yes.
there is an asteroid which is going to do a flyby. And it was discovered just about a week or two ago, so very, very late. And this one is 1,300 feet across.
Ooh, now that's
It's
big.
much bigger than the little WTF.
That's about a
guy.
quarter of a mile.
Yes, it's pretty big. So on October 31st, 3-1, a 1,300-foot asteroid was going to hurl by us at 1.3 times the distance of the moon. And if you think I'm making that up, that's what's in the story.
31, 13, 1.3.
Yeah.
Interesting. And we mention that because those are numbers 13 and 33 that have some occult significance. And it would take longer than we have in this program to go into all of that. But yeah, those are interesting little markers.
Yeah.
We noticed
So
those
anyway,
numbers
it's-
popping up a lot in what appear to be random news stories.
Yeah, in fact, I
Yeah.
have a Google search for 13 and 33 to see if they come in together.
Right.
According to the article that came out on the 22nd, this is, again, it's not going to hit us. It's going to go 1.3 million miles away. But the problem is it wasn't noticed until just recently because it's in a part of space where nobody looks for asteroids.
Really? So it's coming
Yeah.
at us from a blind spot, in
Pretty
other
much.
words, or a direction we're
Well,
not expecting.
a direction that we're not looking because there aren't that many asteroids that ever come from there.
That's interesting.
So you tend to look where most of them are populated.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is an area of space that apparently nobody expected an asteroid to come from there. So the problem is, if one comes from there,
Yeah.
that's this size, that is going to hit the Earth, we wouldn't know it until the last minute.
Right, right. And too late for Bruce Willis to go up there with his team
Yeah,
and
exactly.
knock it out of the sky.
Exactly.
Well, and that is a bit concerning.
Because in
but
prophecy, we're told in the book of Revelation that
Yeah.
something like a mountain
Right.
is going to come out of the sky and hit the oceans.
So it would be something like this, presumably. Yeah. Well, we know that it will happen when it's God's timing to do so, and presumably, at least we believe, Scripture tells us we're not going to be here when that happens.
Ah, amen to that. By the way, if you're a Doctor Who fan, and if you're not, you should be. There was an episode, the Christmas episode, the Christmas Invasion, with the very first appearance of David Tennant as Doctor Number 10, that the spaceship looked exactly like a mountain.
Yes.
And I think that was intentional.
But you're right. That was very interesting. It looked like a flying mountain. Yeah. Closer to Earth, this was an interesting story, I thought, because it's not something that's expected. Researchers did a study of children in Paris who were being treated for asthma, and they found that their lungs contained a fair number of carbon nanotubes.
Apparently, cars are outgassing carbon nanotubes.
Right, right. There was a black substance that came out of the lungs from these of these children, and found that these carbon nanotubes were fairly common. Now, it wasn't. I'm not sure, but I don't think science expected the nanotubes to be created in nature.
Naturally, yeah. They've been creating them for structural reasons for a long time now.
Right, right. But carbon nanotubes and also what they call fullerenes, which are like little spheres made of carbon coming out of, and so now apparently these are far more prevalent in the atmosphere and the environment than we thought.
And you don't want carbon molecules in your lungs. It makes it very difficult to breathe.
Right. So carbon nanoparticle, the fullerene molecules, it's like C60, 60 carbon atoms together in a little ball.
So I wonder if eventually this will go into one of the treaties that we have to sign about carbon footprint for a given territory.
Well, good luck with that, because apparently these are also created by forest fires and volcanoes. So it's not something that I don't think they're going to get Mauna Loa to
I'm sorry, Hawaii. We're gonna have
Krakatoa
to,
or any, yeah.
Well, I want to take a totally different direction, and I want to talk about something that does relate to Halloween. Two things.
Okay.
One of them has to do with face paint that your kids may be wearing tomorrow night.
Ooh, yeah.
And a lot of people go to fairs during the summer. They go to parties where they do face painting.
Right, and
it's pretty common.
In lieu of trick or treating, a lot of churches will have a trunk or treat event.
Yes, exactly, and a lot of times face painting is there. Pay close attention. The article that I found a couple of days ago warns parents not to use cheap face paint. And we're all trying to save money.
Sure.
And you might think, well, this is no different than the more expensive paint that I might find in an actual, say, theater shop or something like that. Essentially, this one says that a lot of these are made in China and they contain lead. And you do not want lead in the bloodstreams of your children.
No.
And how many kids have a cut or a scratch on their faces, or if it even gets close to the eyes or into the nose? There are lots of places where it can actually get access to the bloodstream. So be really careful when you're doing face painting. And also be really careful, especially for the older kids who are wearing contact lenses to look like a zombie or a vampire or whatever. These often cause irritation and conjunctivitis, and they can even cause blindness. Because many of these, again, they're made in very cheap settings. They are sold on the black market or sneaked into packages of other things, because there are strict rules in place for imports in the United States of things that can be dangerous, like these very cheap contact lenses. If you want to be a zombie, go see your eye care professional and ask if they can recommend something you can use, because not only do these things sometimes contain contaminants, sometimes they are not bacteria-free, they sometimes don't have really smooth edges, and they're not likely to actually fit your cornea, which means
Right.
they're going to move around a lot.
Right.
So be really careful. Your vision is something you don't want to lose.
Yeah.
Just because you're trying to look like a zombie.
Well, exactly right. And maybe just from a Christian perspective, consider being something other than a zombie. You're something other than a creature that consumes human flesh.
I saw, and I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm betting that there are at least a few of you out there. I have a lot of friends. Your mother loves cats.
Yes.
I prefer dogs, I'll be honest with that, but I like cats well enough. I do have some friends who have numerous cats in their home. I saw the cutest on Facebook this morning. I saw the cutest little girl in her little costume. She had her hair in rollers. She had a bathrobe on, little bath slippers on, and little bitty stuffed kitties attached all over, and little cat glasses. She was the crazy cat lady. And I
No,
thought,
that's funny.
you know, if you're going to find a costume for your kids and you want to go to a harvest party or something like that, pick something like that that's just super cute. Be different.
I dressed one year as my uncle, who served in the Navy during World War II. He was a fairly small fellow, and by the time I was in 6th grade, I was about his size. So I actually wore his World War II Navy uniform to school.
That's incredible, and a good story and something you look back on. And how many, grandmas and grandpas have uniforms in their closet they might be able to get out for the kids to try on? Yeah, that's a great idea.
Now, I did wear a horrifying costume the next year. This was, bear in mind, during the Nixon presidency. I dressed as Henry Kissinger. So,
You could go as a mad scientist.
and speaking of mad science, and I'll mention this story because we're coming close to the release of the documentary film Inhuman about the transhumanist movement.
Yes.
This is actually a story that was put out on the 13th of October, so it's not a new story, but 10/13.
Yeah.
Scientists believe they can extend human life by decades by deleting genes from the human genome.
Yeah.
That they could possibly make us live up to 60% longer by deleting genes from DNA. Now, you've got a degree in molecular biology with an emphasis on genetics.
Yeah.
Does this make any sense to you?
Trust me, you don't want to start deleting genes unless you know in a longitudinal study what happens to that organism over the course of his or her lifetime and progeny after that. In other words, you've got to look at like a 70, 80-year study. Trust me, there's nothing like that out there. In fact, there was a report just a few weeks ago about a company that has been doing cloning of cows for decades. And finally it's come out that this company had been sort of fudging on the data and not revealing that many of their tries died.
This was in New Zealand, correct?
Yes.
A lot of birth defects.
A lot of birth defects, a lot of, they never got past the blastoma stage of development because they were inserting genetic material that was not bovine, and because they were trying to recreate the same cow over and over again. It was a trial and error, and I'm sorry, but there are some scientists that look at cattle or horses or dogs or cats and think, well, we can experiment on those, bunnies, whatever, because they're just animals, and they don't really know what's going on. And I'm sorry, but God made all the life on this earth.
Right.
All of it was made according to His design, and it should be procreating after that design, after its kind. And we shouldn't be playing around with any of it.
No. And when God told Adam and Eve to go and take dominion of the earth, He was basically entrusting the care of the earth and its creatures to humanity.
Yeah.
And this is a case where animal welfare, not animal rights, there's a difference. Animal welfare should be a top priority,
Oh, I
because
agree.
those creatures that have been genetically modified and are being born, in some cases, I read that story, cows being born without udders, they're suffering.
Yes.
And suffering for what? Because scientists have figured out that they've got their hands on these building blocks, but they don't know how to assemble the blocks
Yeah,
yet.
in many ways. And, I studied with some brilliant scientists. In fact, one of my professors had many of his science research on the space shuttle and on on ISIS, the space...
International Space Station?
Yes, thank you very much. Brain, head. It's blonde. What am I saying? But they were brilliant people, and many of them, I really think, were wonderful people at heart and would not harm a hair on any creature's head. But when there's money to be made, then some people simply don't care.
Yeah.
And I don't believe as Christians that we should look at the world that way. We are to take dominion of the earth, and that means being good caretakers.
Yeah. And there's no greater potential moneymaker than coming up with the fountain of youth, as it were, the
Right.
secret of life, because sadly, that is where the transhumanist movement wants to go. They want to achieve immortality, which we already have. As Christians, we know this. It's not going to be immortal in this body. I don't want to be immortal in this body.
I don't want to be forever in this fallen body.
Right.
I'm sorry. I want this fallen nature gone. I want the new creation
Right.
that God is giving us.
Exactly right, because living forever with an unregenerate heart and amongst others with unregenerate hearts sounds more like the definition of hell than heaven.
Yeah, that is so true.
Well,
said.
the reason we do this program is because we want you to know that we Christians don't need to be intimidated by science. Science is just a means to understanding better God's creation.
Exactly. Exactly.
So have a great weekend. We'll talk with you again on Monday. And until then, thank you for watching as we keep watch. For Sharon Gilbert, I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.
Coming exclusively from SkyWatch TV for a very limited time starting November 17th, 2015. When you purchase the new documentary film Inhuman and the companion book Dead Pets Don't Lie from SkyWatch TV, you'll receive the largest giveaway in SkyWatch TV history. An unprecedented $300 in free books, audio sets, and DVDs to add to your library or to give away as gifts during this holiday season. Included in this limited time giveaway are never before offered free audio sets. Over 30 hours of the most sought after interviews in history with global experts combined on a special 2-disc volume set discussing the unfolding genetic Armageddon now underway and what you need to know to survive the future. Featuring Something Transhumanism This Way Comes, The Coming Replacement Humans, The Days of Noah, The Coming Zombie Apocalypse, Conspiracy Theory, Psychotronic Warfare. Also, for a very limited time, in addition to the never-before-offered free best-selling audio sets, if you order before this special offer expires, you'll also receive the multi-part SkyWatch TV special investigative report on Inhuman the documentary and Dead Pets Don't Lie, the award-winning book Forbidden Gates, Pandemonium's Engine, the best-selling DVD by dog behavior expert Joe Artis, The Natural Dog Training Method, the breakthrough book for pet enthusiasts everywhere, Do Our Pets Go to Heaven? 2 additional mystery books with a $40 value. And if you're one of the first 3,000 customers to place your order during this limited time offer, you will also receive, absolutely free, the groundbreaking WorldNet daily film, The Last Pope, featuring Tom Horn. Place your order beginning November 17th, 2015. Altogether, the never-before offered free 6 full audio series on a 2-disc volume set plus the 5 free books and 2 additional DVDs total an astounding $300 giveaway to add to your library or to give away as gifts during this holiday season. So it's urgent that beginning November 17th, 2015, you order the new documentary film Inhuman and the companion book Dead Pets Don't Lie for only $39.95 to also receive the largest giveaway in SkyWatch TV history. But please understand this offer will end without notification and is on a first-come, first-served basis starting November 17th. So be sure to visit SkyWatchTV.com to follow the countdown to the greatest giveaway in SkyWatch TV history. Order the new documentary film Inhuman and the companion book Dead Pets Don't Lie for only $39.95 to also receive the largest giveaway in SkyWatch TV history.